Hello and welcome back to The Journey, the human experience to spiritual enlightenment. And we are back on our review of the Kundalini Activation.
Yeah.
So, you guys have been following us, and we have been releasing our personal experiences in separate podcasts just so that we give you enough time to speak about your experience. And guess what? It's your turn.
It's my turn.
It's your turn. So let's see if you're going to cry as much as I did. But
I think everybody cried so far.
Well,
I'm a much less emotional person, so I probably will not cry. And I kind of feel like the experience I had, I certainly had one. I certainly did not expect it. But for me, I don't think it was as spiritual or as emotional as what I saw like everyone else have. And, I think that's just
let's
part
review
of who I
all
am.
four of the classes. Let's start with the first one. We'll do them an individual review of each one because I'm sure you probably experienced something different.
Sure. And I studied up on these before we went, so I had a little more knowledge about them before everybody else went. And it was, like I say, it was a lot more than I expected. When I went into the very first class, I met Estefan, and Herman. German. slaughter everybody's names. And, they were very, very soft-spoken people, and they were very, very kind and gentle people. And, me knowing how I am, my first thought was, oh, my gosh, I got to stay quiet in here because I'm going to say the wrong thing, and everybody's going to be mad at me, So I kind of tried to avoid that. And I just kind of sat back and just watched and tried to get the experience and the feel of everything that was going on. And, I'm always interested in everything, and my curiosity is always, okay, let me take this to the logical approach and really evaluate the bits and pieces of everything and see if, I figure out how it works or what the root of this is or where this goes to. And, right off the bat, they started playing what I consider to be pretty loud music. I was actually very surprised. I've never been to a meditative class or maybe even a yoga class where it's like, okay, we're going to turn this music up to 92 decibels. And when they did, I started realizing or noticing, things that were very hypnotic, things that were very binaural beats. And my first reaction was, oh boy, we're going to try to do some kind of hypnosis on me here. And I didn't feel that at all. I was very surprised and pleasantly surprised that it just didn't happen that way. I didn't feel that. I felt like all of that was just helping to induce a meditative state. And it was a very, very deep meditative state right off the bat. And then as the class really felt to me, it was in kind of four pieces. And I don't know how accurate this is because, maybe the inner method people will tell us more when we meet with them. But initially, I felt like there was a big opening or a big induction to the meditation, and that kind of induced like a trance-like state. And then after that, about maybe 20 minutes or so in, and it was very hard to tell time in there because, I think Bob Lanzeri said it best. It felt like the whole class was 15 minutes, and it was really an hour and a half. It was a long class, but it felt very short. So time was hard to gauge, but I felt like there was a big piece of it that was an induction or a meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second piece that came was very unusual for me. I don't even know how to describe it as an experience, but it felt like I reached out. It felt like I reached out across the room.
Really?
And I could almost feel things people in the room were going through, and some of this was traumatic, and I could feel that. I couldn't go as far as saying what they were experiencing, but I could tell people were experiencing things. I could not just hear it, I could feel it. My eyes were closed. And about halfway through that portion, I started noticing this light, and it was moving around the room. And my first thought was, okay, logically, they've got some kind of light. They're walking around the room with some kind of light. And it was still not, normally my curiosity would peak up and I'd be like, I'm going to open my eyes and check out what this light is. But I had the sensation of I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to experience it.
Yeah. You didn't want to investigate any further.
Yeah. I had no need to investigate it further, which is unusual for me. And then all of a sudden it just all subsided. All of everything I was feeling that was around me, the traumatic experiences that I could tell people were having, I wasn't having. But I could feel them having it, and it was very odd to me. And then all of a sudden, it just, boom, it was gone. And then there was this just peace. And you know, when you and I had talked about it earlier, you described it as kind of like the healing phase of the class, and I agree. That's what it felt like. It was like poof, that was gone, and it was just peace, and it was rest, and it was relaxation, it was comfort. And then there was the wakening up portion of the class where you're kind of coming back and you're a little groggy, and then all of a sudden I realized I've been laying on this floor. I haven't moved in an hour and a half. I have arthritis in my neck. I have arthritis in my shoulders. I don't have a bad hip, but I have a hip that's got some issues. And then I've got a rotation in my L4 from being in the military. I have the chronic muscle and joint pain that nobody knows where it's ever come from. For me, I could get in the most comfortable bed in the world, and within 3 to 7 minutes, I'm going to be rolling around. I can't stay in the same position for a long time without pain. I had no pain.
Yeah.
I laid on that floor, did not move for an hour and a half. I got up and had no pain.
On a rubber mat.
On a rubber mat. You know.
With no cushion on the floor.
You know, when I got up from it,
Yeah.
I didn't really think a lot about it. I mean, of course, I was a little bit stiff, but that lasted like 10 or 15 seconds. I started moving again, and it was all gone. And that in itself is unusual. Just, if I sit in a chair for 5 minutes and I get up, I'm going to feel that pain for 2-3 minutes. This was like almost instantly gone. And then they get the surprise of, hey, let's all get in a circle and share. And I'm like, what? Like, what? I don't want to do that. And then, you know, I'm sitting there while everybody's sharing, and I'm listening to them talk about their traumatic experiences. And I'm like, okay, that's who was feeling traumatic. That's who was feeling traumatic. That's who was feeling traumatic. And I couldn't have felt what they went through and what they were then describing.
Yeah.
But I could feel the levels of trauma that they were describing. I could feel someone in the direction they were sitting, having a traumatic experience. I could feel and I could sense all that while this light was just moving around the room. And at that time, that's when I'm starting to realize, you know what, where I was feeling the trauma coming from the most was where the light was always at. And I'm like, that's weird, you know, that gave me chills. I didn't know what to think about that. And I certainly wasn't going to share it, so I just kind of kept quiet. And I think that's when you speaked up. And you were like, "Yeah, Sean's shy. He doesn't like to talk." And I'm like, "I'm on the radio every day. I don't care if I talk. I just don't know what to say right now." And then, you know, they talked to us about the second class, and you know, I'll be honest, the second class hit me really hard. And you know, I'm still processing the second class.
That's the breathwork class.
The breathwork class
With the headset.
With the headset. That hit me very hard, and I'm kind of processing that, and I don't understand all of what I experienced in that one. But it started out the same way. You know, I felt an induction or into a trance kind of meditative state. And then again, I could feel myself like reach out where I'm feeling everything around me. And that was the class that you had your experience in.
Yeah.
And I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't contain myself. I mean, there was times in the class where I'm going to get up and go. I'm going to get up and leave. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And there was something in my head telling me it's okay. It's okay. Everything will be okay. And it was you.
Me?
It was you. I was feeling you going through whatever you were going through, and it was overwhelming to me.
It was
just
to me
overwhelming
too.
to me. And I just kept getting this reassuring feeling, because at that point I stopped feeling everybody else. All I could feel was you. And I just kept getting this feeling in my head of it's going to be okay. It's okay. And then all of a sudden that relief came, and it was over. And that's it. When I actually got up early, and I'm like, no, it's not okay. I'm going to check now. You got me going now. I'm awake now. I'm going to check. And that's when, you know, I realized, yeah, you know, you were crying and you were upset. And it's like I was feeling all of that. I was feeling all of that. And I wanted to get up and see if you were okay. And it just kept coming back to me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And that's, you know, that's a lot. That's a lot for me to unpack. You know, it's a lot for me to unpack because I'm overprotective. And feeling you going through trauma like that, it was overwhelming. You know, I won't say it was terrible because it was weird. It was like a numb overwhelming. It was like, I want to do something about this. No, it's okay.
It's like when you got to let your kid to get surgery. Like you got to let it happen, and then you'll take care of them after.
Or when you're watching them and they're going to do something horrible, or not necessarily horrible, but you're watching them and they're like, yeah, he's going to fail at that. And you just got to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was that kind of feeling that I was getting. And then it kind of woke up, and then it's like, okay, it's share time again. And I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not sharing none of this. And, you know, after that, I just, you know, coming out of that.
So when I gave my share time.
I just confirmed that I was feeling you having that event.
You felt what I said?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
I didn't feel it enough to know what it was, but I felt the trauma enough to say it was significant and that it was bothering you.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have an experience of my own other than maybe you don't need to get involved all the time. You know, I mean, that's kind of the takeaway I got from it of things will be okay. You know, I don't have to jump up and save the day all the time. I don't have to be there all the time. And that's kind of the takeaway that I've had over, you know, a week or two of processing this. And that, you know, is at the time extremely overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the class, you know, I didn't really do the share thing, so I can't really talk too much about that. But after the class, I noticed all my senses were so heightened, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the calm, the clarity was there in my mind. The feeling of walking out the door and feeling a breeze, looking up at the sky, looking at buildings, looking at the lights in downtown Orlando. Everything was so vivid. Everything was so surreal. And it was almost like a euphoric state. Mm-hmm. And in the back of my head, it was always like a voice saying, this is what should be. So it was like I'm amplified in all my senses, but something's telling me in my head, hey, this is where we should be all the time. This is what's normal. I mean, whatever you've been seeing in this dull, grayed out world is not. This is what really is here. And it was very interesting. And, you know, I think after that, we went out to dinner. I think we stopped by the cigar bar for a little while and just kind of hung out and talked about the class. Yeah. And I saw something in a building. And even now, I want to go back to this building. Mm-hmm. And I want to sit there for as long as it takes for me to figure out what it was, because it's, to me, it's just unbelievable. You know, I was standing in a parking lot and we were talking, and it was so bizarre. I didn't really even say anything to you at the time, but I literally saw this shadow figure.
And that was when I was still breaking down in the parking lot. And I was just kind of like,
and I'm like, okay, she's still coming to terms with what she saw. And now I see this. What's going on? And I literally saw the shadow figure, and it came out of a lit up window that was closed. Mm-hmm. And went down this building about 6 floors and disappeared. And I stood there for about 5-10 minutes while you were talking and stuff and chit-chatting with you, trying to figure out what would make this shadow. Mm-hmm. And it never happened again. You know, at one point I thought it was this guy walking by on the sidewalk, but that same guy turned around and went back the other way. He had went into this little office. He came out of the office, walked back to where he came from, and that never happened again. I was expecting him to walk by a light and see something happen in reverse. So that one perplexes me, and I don't know if it's just that my senses were that heightened that I saw something I normally wouldn't have, or if I still have something that I have to figure out to see how that could have really happened. So I'm still kind of very perplexed on that one. But then that night, we went back to the hotel. You slept like a baby. I could not sleep at all. I literally felt like my brain was meditating all night, and that I just didn't need to go to sleep. That was the feeling I had all night long. So literally I was up. I think maybe I slept an hour that evening. Mm-hmm. And then we got up the next morning, and that same surreal feeling, that same euphoria feeling, that same vividness of everything was still there. Mm-hmm. You know, it was still there. It was like I was still meditating in my head. It was still just that vibration of meditation still there. And, you know, I've done meditation most of my life due to my sleeping issues, because it does give you relief. If you're unable to sleep and you can do some meditation, even at a basic level, it's a relief for sleep sleep deprivation or whatever you want to call it.
Didn't they also
lack of sleep.
prescribe that for you, like from the VA? So like you
They
have
did.
like medical is also embracing the fact that meditation can help with your sleep issues.
Correct.
Which
And
is
that's
interesting.
that is actually where I've heard about it the first time. They got me interested in it, and now they're much more advanced now. Now there's actually classes that I'm signed up to every week that I can attend or not attend. They're online via Zoom and all kinds of
Through your
things like
doctor's
that.
office.
So through the doctor's office,
Mhm.
and they help. They give you relief. If you've been unable to sleep for a couple of days and you can meditate for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you've had 4 hours of sleep. So this is not something I'm an expert at by any stretch, because it's the guided ones. Close your eyes and breathe like this and breathe like that and breathe like this and imagine this. So I don't know what I'm doing. I just listen to them and I go along with it.
Right.
But I've got a rough idea when I have a good meditation and a bad meditation, and this was such an accelerated meditation. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable, and to be walking around with that same feeling of meditation through the course of the day, and I think you said it best when you were doing your testimony. It's like, it's raining, but I'm happy that it's raining.
Yeah.
Well, the rain was vivid. The rain would splash on me and I would feel it more than I usually would. It was an amplification of everything that was going on. And even those people, I was joking around with them. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to dinner. I might stop by the cigar bar and have a drink on the way home. And they're like, remember, everything's amplified. So if you have one drink, it's like having two. Well, it pretty much was like that with everything.
Mm-hmm.
With everything.
Yeah.
So that was very cool. And then, that night we were on the ride home and we found out we were able to stop by the Sarasota location and do their course there as well. So, why not? We were on the way home anyway. So we went to that one, and it was very similar experience. It wasn't as deep for me for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to identify what the light was.
Oh, yeah?
They had actually bumped me when they were getting ready to touch my head at one point, and I saw the light come to me, and they bumped me, and I opened my eyes, and it was the instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And that freaked me out. I'm literally with my eyes closed. I'm watching her move around as though she were light. And then to get the realization of looking up and seeing that it was her, as I was opening my eyes, the light went away and it was her. So it was almost like an angelic kind of thing in my vision. It was very, very strange. And
you said it was an
her.
amber color, orange.
It was like an amber light that would move around the room, and it wasn't always there.
Yeah.
It was just every now and then I would see it, or when someone was obviously significantly in some kind of trauma, or feeling some kind of trauma, or reliving some kind of trauma, that light would be there.
Yeah.
At the time you were going through it, the light was gone. Like, my only focus was you, and then after that was gone and over with, then it kind of went back to that. That class was not a great one for me. The one in Sarasota, there was just some weirdness that happened there. I think at one point
It's a little tight.
You rolled over and put a knee into my hip.
Yeah, that's what you claim.
And that kind of woke me up, so I was out of it there. And then I moved over a little bit, and the guy on the other side rolled over and punched me in the shoulder. So everybody was moving so much in that one. It was a tight one, so that wasn't the best one for me. And then we got back here, and for like the whole week, some of the stuff that happened in the first class or the second class kind of resonated with me, and it's just kind of going through my head and just kind of unpacking. And I still would notice that kind of clarity would come back and go every now and then. It was probably about a day or two after the initial course that it kind of started to fade. But then it would just like randomly come back in pockets when I was doing different things or when I was thinking about different things. It would kind of come and go. And then on Sunday, when we went to the Naples class, now I lost my train of thought. You messed me up, Eddie.
Well, it popped up, and I didn't want it to discontinue.
The Naples class was a good class. I enjoyed the Naples
music.
class. And that one was different for me. That one was different. It still kind of stacked because I would say that it was stronger than the first class.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the same sensations. I didn't It's like after the induction piece where I kind of felt like I reached out in the other 3 classes, I didn't sense that. I didn't see the light moving around.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was in a deeper meditation, and I was seeing lots of colors. I was seeing like purple and green clouds and things like that, and I was completely in my head. I mean, you could come up and talk to me in my ear, and I would probably have not have had any idea that you were there.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing significant though. It was just a very euphoric, calming feeling. And then afterwards, I got the same clarity and stuff that I had was kind of renewed. Um, and during the share portion of that, I thought it was very interesting because 4 other people described the exact same clouds that I was seeing, the purples and the blues and some of the greens and things of that nature.
Wow. So when you went through your experiences, I mean, we're at Sarasota now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one experience. And you jump into the Naples class.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that that was a more of a connection, or less, or the same?
It felt different. I wouldn't say it was more or less.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely the strongest class for me was definitely the breathwork class. That one was the most significant and something I would say like strength wise. But the Naples class, I would say, just had a completely different feel for me because of how deep it seemed like I got into the meditation. So
Right.
it seemed like the meditation went further, and it seemed like the meditation was stronger, but it seemed like it'd take me in a different direction.
Huh. So tell us about your Naples class. How'd you feel about that one?
That was the one where I was saying I felt like I was deeper in meditation and kind of took me in a
Good job.
different. That was the one where I was seeing the blue clouds and the green clouds, and it was almost like colored fog stuff moving around.
Okay.
I didn't really have any like traumatic experience at that one or emotional experience at that one. To me, it was just very, very, very deep meditation.
Yeah.
Very, very deep. And coming out of that one, the euphoric feeling and the vividness of everything lasted quite a bit longer. I think it was probably, that was on Sunday. It was probably Thursday, maybe even Friday before that really started to fade versus the last, the previous classes, we did 3 in a row. And probably by Tuesday or Wednesday, I started, kind of coming back to normal on that.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot more than I expected. And it's something I would encourage for just about anybody and everybody. And quite honestly, I look forward to going to more classes. I'm very interested to see where they go because every time for me, it seems like it's different. Every time. I mean, my expectation of what we were going to get and what we got are 2 completely different things. When you see these classes online, you usually think, probably not going to be anything significant. It's probably just a yoga class, or it's probably just a meditation class, or I'm going to learn a new meditation technique, but the rest of it's going to be hype and things like that. And I can honestly say that just hearing the shares from other people and what I've experienced and what you and Bob have experienced,
Yeah.
I think we hit a check mark. Each one of us has hit a check mark off of every single thing that they claim this class will be.
My question is, how are we going to top this? Like,
I
this
don't know.
was our
I don't
first
know.
thing that we tried, and we were like, and now
I
we're
mean,
all
I
like,
seen
oh
a
my
shadow.
gosh.
I seen a shadow figure that Bob's telling me
Yeah.
was a demon because I'm a skeptic. So I don't know if I can handle seeing anything else.
I mean, like, there's so many things that this literally is like on the top, like the top experiences of my life, and I think that it may be close for you too.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of different medication. Maybe medication is what's needed here. I've done a lot of different meditation online. I've not had as many opportunities I would like to go to actual live classes, but the ones that I have, they don't even compare to this. They do not. I mean, it's a difference between taking a 2-minute nap and sleeping for 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's that kind of difference. It's
Deep.
It's significant. It's deep. I couldn't sit here and tell you every single person that goes there is going to have some crazy off the wall connection. I don't feel like I had a crazy off the wall connection like a lot of other people did.
Yeah.
But I still had a connection, and I'm not one to normally have those like that.
Yeah. I did kind of want to ask you this. Do you feel that there was any healing for you? Do you feel that there was anything in there that may have come into contact with this?
I kind of feel like there was a lesson in the second class, and I think I'm still sorting through that to maybe come to a healing on that. I don't really know for sure on that one yet. I don't know on that one yet, but it's things that it's a connection that happened that made me think about things. But again, I won't say they were traumatic things. I won't say they were highly emotional things. But there are things that maybe I can do better, or that may improve upon my stress levels, or, you know, the way I see things in life. I mean, little things, but it's still something.
How did you feel when you didn't have control? Because you do tend to be the leader in a lot of things. So
yeah, for
how
me,
did
I
that
don't.
feel?
You know, and maybe that's the difference why I didn't have a significant connection. Maybe that is why I didn't feel like I was out of control at any point. I mean, I felt like I was encouraged
To let go.
to let go, to not worry about it. But I don't think I was told to. I
No,
don't
but
think
I'm
I was
saying
directed to, and I don't think that I was in a situation where if I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get up and see what's going on with Betty,
yeah,
that I couldn't have.
yeah.
It was just I would continuously.
But you made
hear
a
that
choice to not get involved and just let it happen.
and just let it go.
That's a
And
big one.
it was crazy. And you know, some of the music that they play in there is so, you can feel so much energy coming out of that music. You can feel so much energy coming out of those two instructors. I mean, you immediately start feeling that.
Yeah.
You know, this is not like I go sit down and, you know what, I'm focusing on making my mind stop. I'm focusing on stopping all these memories from coming to me. I'm focusing on not thinking about stuff. Oh, crud, I'm thinking about stuff. Now I'm thinking about not thinking about stuff. And it's just that chaos. I mean, I have that chaos in my mind all the time. So, you know, any kind of meditation that I've ever done, it's always been a game of, all right, let me try and clear my head. Okay, that's not happening. Let's try this again in another 20 minutes. Okay, let me try it again. Okay, I'm getting. I thought about some stuff. No.
Oh man, this class gonna run out. I'm still trying to figure out how to get there.
I'm 6 hours into the class. I ain't got there.
Yeah.
This was literally. I mean, close your eyes. Music comes on, and you start feeling it, and you start feeling it, and you start feeling it more, and you start feeling it more, and you start feeling it more, and you start feeling it more. You know, initially when I heard the kind of the hypnotic tones and the binaural beats, I'm like, they're going to hypnotize me. It didn't happen. It was more of an encouragement to reach a very high meditative state, was what I felt like.
Yeah.
It wasn't really taking me anywhere. It wasn't really guiding me anywhere. It was just relax and let go. Relax and let go. And you could just feel that over and over and over and over and over again. And you know, later on there were
What
some.
you felt, was it audio, or was it physical, or was it just internal that you were feeling those words?
I would say all of those at different times.
Really?
I would say all of those at different times, because there were a couple times where music came on and it had like affirmations and stuff in it, but it wasn't heavy affirmations, and it wasn't all affirmations. There was, you know, it was
almost poetic.
The music changed probably maybe every 5 or 10 minutes. My best guess. It's so hard to gauge the time.
Time was not a factor.
But it's not like they were playing huge long songs that were saying these things over and over and over and over and over and over and get in your head. They would play these things for 4 or 5 minutes, and then it seemed like maybe it would go to the next one and the next one and the next one.
Yeah.
And maybe one out of every 10 would have like affirmations in it. But they were, you know, you're going to be okay. Everything's fine. It was always that feeling. It was always that feeling. You know, you're in a place where you're loved. You're in a place where you're safe. You're going to be okay. It was always that feeling repeatedly.
So, in this experience, if you had to recommend this, let's say, to a loved one, to like, let's say your brother.
I would say go and do it, but don't take your wife. She'd kick you in the hip.
Stop. But you would recommend this?
I would. And, you know, I actually sent some links to my brother about it.
You did?
Yeah.
How funny.
I mean, it's something that no matter what, you're going to get something out of. You know? And if you're one of the more fortunate people that get something huge, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
You know, even if you just get the little bit, it's worth it.
Is it too old? Is there an age where it's too old to do this?
I mean, if they've got to lift you out of the wheelchair, maybe it's time to. No, I doubt it. You know, and
So it doesn't matter what age you are, like take advantage of this.
I went to 4 classes and I cannot lay on a floor to save my life for more than 3 minutes, and I did it 4 times.
Yeah.
I did it 4 times for an hour and a half. So I'm excited to see how long I keep doing it.
Can I ask about your everyday? Like your everyday stuff. Do you feel like another? I mean, I know you said that the vivid colors and the things, but like, are there like subtle things that may have triggered?
A little bit. I have a greater sense of calm still. I have more clarity in my head. Something very unique that I've actually noticed. I still have sleep troubles.
Mm-hmm.
I still meditate when I have sleep troubles. And something has changed with my meditations. They're stronger. I can feel like energy in my back when I meditate now. That it's not something that's been there before.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something new. I'm still kind of experiencing and processing that, and hopefully it's nothing terrible like my back is broken or something weird. But it's a weird sensation that's all of a sudden coming when I go
like
through
energy.
just a guided meditation. I feel energy. I feel, one of the things they talked about was the different chakras and stuff in the class. I feel those lighting up when I'm doing very basic guided meditations now.
Really?
So those are still amplified. Those are still stronger than what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing to account for that other than these classes.
So I don't know, like I didn't say this in my last testimony, but like one of the feelings I had in the Naples class was I did feel like almost like little sparklers or zaps of energy. Did you feel any of like physical like tingling like this on your hands or your feet?
When you were holding my hand a couple of times, I did, and
I felt that flow.
I felt that a lot. I did feel the heat too. So sometimes when I'd feel heat, I would feel that,
Mm-hmm.
and the couple times that you grab my hand, I would feel the same thing. But you randomly feel very warm in different spots. So I mean, for me, it was moving. So, and this was with every class. Every one of the classes I went to, I felt very warm in different parts of my body. Like all of a sudden, I feel very warm on this side of my face, and then it would move to my shoulder on the other side, and then I would feel very warm on the other side of my face, and then one of my legs would feel warm. And we were in a cold classroom.
Yeah, it was cold class.
We were in a cold classroom, and it was like somebody had a ball of fire, and they were just moving it around, and I'd feel it on different places in my body is the best way I could describe it. And some of the zaps, it seemed like to match up with that sometimes. So the area I feel very warm, I'd feel those zaps. The areas that I didn't, it would move around. I never had it feeling like all over the body.
Yeah.
But it would be in different places, and those would normally match up to where I was warm.
That's interesting. Did you have any shakes or anything like that? I know there was like times where people were like moving or dancing or trying to wiggle their body. Did you have any of that, like feel that?
I was shocked that at the end I was in the same position I started, with the exception of the Sarasota class. For the Sarasota class, my, especially both of my arms and my shoulders would like all of a sudden start like almost like a twitching or like a spasming. It would switch from side to side.
Yeah.
It wasn't significant. It wasn't huge, but it was definitely happening in Sarasota, and I don't know why that was. But the other classes, the breathworks class, you're getting up and you're sitting down and you're all of that stuff. But the 3 where you're just laying down and letting them do their thing and listening to the music, that's the only one that happened. And other than that, I literally laid down, and at the end of the class, it's like it's time to wake up, and I'm like, holy cow, I'm laying exactly how I was an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
No movement for me. I didn't get up and dance like other people did.
You know what? I love that this did something for you, because one of the worries that I had, and I think that maybe possibly in the first class, I was like, I wonder what Sean's thinking. You know what I mean? Like I would like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to hear like, oh my God, Betty, let's go.
Well,
like I want to do this.
It's funny because maybe that's why I didn't open my eyes. I'm like, Betty's the one that's dancing like the snake charmer up with her feet in the air or something. I don't want to see it. And then it was share time, and I'm like, oh boy, what is she going to say now? I got to go.
But that was good though. I'm glad that you had an experience.
It was an incredible class. I will absolutely do more, and I will absolutely look further into it. I'm excited to look into the Kundalini yoga. That's a different modality in its own way.
And actually, I was talking to Jermaine about that. He sent me a recommendation. He said, if the breath work moved you that much, you should look into this. And it's very similar. It's a combination.
The breath work hit me very hard. I'm cautious about doing that one again. I want to experience that one again, but maybe where I'm not having to worry about driving or something afterwards or something like that, because that one hit me really, really heavy. There were times that, and I'm a cigar smoker, so doing a whole bunch of breath work is probably not helping me tremendously. I mean, the cigar smoke is probably reducing my ability to do that a little bit, but that class was very overwhelming for me. That class, I felt lightheaded in. That class, I felt dizzy at times. There was a couple times I felt the room spin. And I don't know if that was the class itself that was doing that, or if that was my breathing not being sufficient for the class. I don't usually have trouble breathing. I'm not, I'm not a jogger. I'm not a runner, but I'm not out of breath either. And that it was very strange, because you're doing so much breathing, but yet you feel like you're not getting enough air all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden I felt lightheaded, and the top of my head would get tingly, and then I would get dizzy, and then the room would spin. And the only way to compensate for that is then I would lay down for a minute or two and kind of let everything catch back up, and then I would try it again. But that was the class that got overwhelming. So what was it? Was I really not getting enough oxygen? I was breathing in all these insane breaths. That doesn't make sense.
Right. You're breathing probably deeper than you ever have.
Yeah, I'm breathing deeper than I probably have. We're not doing a whole tremendous amount of physical activity. No. Being out of breath seems like
You're
an unlikely...
sitting or laying or just standing.
Yeah, seems like breathing. A very unlikely reason for that. But that was the class that was overwhelming for me.
I absolutely love that class. That was I didn't love it when I was going through the ugly part.
Right.
But I loved it when I felt the relief.
Well, that same time was where it was most traumatic for me too, or most overwhelming for me, I guess you would say.
Yeah. And there was a when I got really emotional, I felt the emotion just start around my heart. And then it just started growing and growing and growing. And it took over my chest, and then it went up my throat. And when it took over my throat, then it was like, I want to cry.
Well, it sounds like you were crying out loud, and I did not hear that. I felt it. I felt like you were having some kind of very difficult experience, but I didn't hear you, I didn't audibly hear you crying, but yet I felt like you were. And then when I took the headphones off and everything towards the end and saw that you were, that was kind of where that holy cow came from. You know? Holy cow. I was feeling it, and that was what was happening.
Yeah. It was interesting to experience that, and your level of experiencing it was different, which, to be honest, you seeing the color, the amber of her walking around without realizing it was her, that's pretty cool. That is
that part to me, I think
connecting.
There's a spiritual something there.
Yeah.
So, I'm still undecided at the who, how, and why, but I can't think any way that would happen otherwise. There was something about...
People don't just emanate
something about
light.
That. There was something there that caused me to be able to see her with my eyes closed.
You saw her,
and I saw her as like an energy being of light.
Yeah. And
it was, like you said, it was an amber, maybe a goldish light. They didn't have any lights like that in that room.
No.
All the lights in that room at that one were
pink.
Pink. Yeah, they had pink lighting in that room. It was. I walked in, I thought I was waiting some powder puff thing. I'm like, oh, this is not the class for me.
Yeah, the walls it was very girly yoga.
Well, and then we realized that they were just using the space. It wasn't their space. It was a space they were invited to use.
It was a very girly yoga. It was
we walked into a girly yoga class, and then I had this really, really soft-spoken guy come up and talk to me, and this really soft-spoken girl come up and talk to me, and I'm like, I need to say nothing here. I'm going to upset somebody. I guarantee it. I need to go sit down. I'm going to say nothing.
But look, every time they saw you at their class, they were
happy.
And
then there was a shoe issue, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
What shoe issue? Oh, and
I walked across the whole place with my shoes on, and then was informed we don't do that in the yoga studio.
Oh, yes.
Then I had to take them back to and it wasn't the instructors. I forget who it was. Somebody else said it, and I'm like, okay, it's the start of a weird issue. I just didn't know about the shoes. Let me go. They ultimately did, but it was still.
Oh. So how do you feel?
I feel good. And I look forward to doing some more.
Awesome.
And we're going to be interviewing them sometime later this week, hopefully, and see what other things we can set up and where else we can go. And I think we've got an online version.
Yeah.
That they're doing that I'm looking forward to experiencing as well.
And
I'm very curious to see if the energy and the power that you feel in person.
Yeah.
Is it all replicated over just a Zoom call or a video call?
That'll be interesting to know. Now we
it's
can
going to be
compare.
amazing. It'll be amazing to find that out. If they can transmit that much power and energy, well, then that means it's coming from you. It's not coming from them. Why are they going to send that across Zoom? They're just pulling it out of you.
Yeah.
What does that say? What does that mean to all of this?
They're guiding.
It's crazy and something interesting to think about.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to learn more about this, and I can't wait to talk to the source. Talking to both of them and seeing.
I'm gonna let you talk. I'm
details.
afraid I'm gonna upset somebody.
You're not upset.
I'll upset somebody. I'm like, what do you think about this? And then they're gonna freak out on me.
No, they're loving, nice people.
They are. They are very kind. They are very loving. They are very encouraging. Positive people.
I did get a feeling almost like I feel like I know you from somewhere. You know what I mean? Like when you meet people for the first time, but you feel like you know them. I felt I've had that feeling as soon as I walked into the class, and I just immediately I hadn't really looked at the video. The videos I saw were of the people doing stuff, but I was like, oh, that's the guy that I see in the video, and that's the girl.
Right.
I didn't associate them. I didn't even pay attention to them in the video. I was looking at the people going through their thing.
If you go back to the original videos we were watching, it was more the people that were lifting them up, dancing. They were active and involved with those people, so you don't notice them as much. Your attention's on the activity.
Right, to the person. Yep. And then it was weird because I kind of walk in there and I feel like I know you guys from, I feel like I know you, not from a video. I feel like I know you from somewhere. Very weird.
Holy cow, we've done my testimonial's the longest one. That's not how it's supposed to work. We got to get going.
All right, guys. Well, this is all we got for you. And so now you've got 3 testimonies from the Kundalini activation. And you can, take the pieces that resonate with you and
go check it out.
Check it out for yourself. Because
click on the link and go check it out.
And if you do, you can always email us at thejourney@sjctech.com. We would love to know what your story is like.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Come on the show and do your own testimony. Tell us your experience.
I would love to do that. I would love to hear.
I want to do that with as many people as we can.
Yeah.
Many people as we can.
This is like a community. This is not just us. This is a community. We're all going through this together.
The thing that I like about this is everybody's experience seems so much different. Imagine how many different experiences we could interview and have testimonies on behind Kundalini Activation.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Call me.
Take care, everybody. You have a good one.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and come back for more.